Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X.
And this.
You already know what to do. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. If you are on our Facebook page, please make sure you go ahead and hit that like button. And as well, if you are on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that red subscribe button so you can be, of course, subscribed to X Talking Ish. And as well, go ahead and hit that notification bell so you can be notified for shows like this one in the future.
Ding.
Thank you for that, Ish. And as well, go ahead and check us out on Twitter, on Periscope at X Talking Ish, and as well on my personal page at X_Williams81. And whenever my feed on my Twitter page wants to populate that link, I'm going to go ahead and share that right now as being a little stubborn and don't want to populate. So, with that being said, y'all know, of course, why we are here. We are back once again to recap week 9 of the NFL season. Ish, yet again, another NFL week, another week of the NFL doing what it does best, which is produce nothing but upsets and wanting to make me look silly on pick'ems yet again this week. This has been the 9th consecutive week of the NFL season where I don't know what the hell is going on in the NFL. And not just on the football field, but also within the coaching staff, because we're going to go ahead and just address the elephant in the room. And before we do that, I wanted to go ahead and give a quick shout out to my boy Ish and just ask him, of course, as always, how you doing, my friend? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. A lot going on this week. Like you said, there were some crazy games as far as the pick'ems were concerned. Mainly the Bengals for me. Just they just decided to go ahead and just tell me to shut the hell up. But
that's just one. I had like 4 of them this week. But other than that, like I said from the beginning, is we're going to go ahead and just address the elephant in the room, and of course that is the Colts firing Frank Reich after, of course, last week's another disappointing loss by the Colts. That was just part 1 of what the Colts did. The next step that they did was went out and, I guess you would say, hire an intern, because usually, the interim head coach usually comes from within the staff. That's usually what happens. Usually you don't seek an interim coach, but whatever. Go out and go get an ESPN personality, Mr. Jeff Saturday, of course, a former Colts player himself, a former Super Bowl champion with the Colts himself, a brilliant guy on and off the field, nothing but great things about him. People talk highly about Jeff Saturday. But we all know good and damn well that this is something that made everybody scratch their heads, even probably Colts fans themselves. And before I do my spiel, I want to go ahead and throw it to you, Ish, and let me know how you feel about this whole situation.
Yeah, this was completely perplexing, something that just didn't make any sense whatsoever. Frank Reich, that was the right decision. I think there's been too many bad decisions by that staff, namely Frank Reich, especially at the quarterback position. So I think that was coming. It's been a long time coming. I think we've been talking about it for a number of weeks, asking, is his seat starting to get hot? So I'm not really surprised about that, but I am surprised by the fact that they went out and they got Jeff Saturday, which this dude has no college coaching experience, no NFL coaching experience. I mean, on top of that, not only does this guy not have any experience, no one on the staff has called plays in the NFL now. And I did see some people saying, like, well, they wanted to bring a guy in that knows the system and it's just an interim spot. To that, I will say this. Reggie Wayne knows the organization and is currently on the staff. He was on the staff. So why wouldn't we just have gone with Reggie Wayne? Yeah. I'm not gonna say what I think it is, but yeah, we just gonna leave that one there. We just went out and brought a guy, no coaching experience whatsoever, just to come out here and hang out. I know one thing that I took away from this: Houston, get ready for Josh McCown. Yeah, get ready for my boy to be the head coach because I think Irsay's setting it up so that they can go get somebody with no experience and say, "Well, look, the Colts did it." I mean, I'm just being real.
You're gonna leave it at that?
I'm gonna leave it right there at that.
There's a lot to unpack. Like Ish said, when the first part of Frank Wright being let go probably wasn't a surprise to a lot of people. I was a little more surprised that it happened mid-season. I thought, maybe he was going to be able to ride it out to the end of the season to be then maybe let go. Just surprised that it happened mid-season like this. But of course, like you said, and like I've already stated, just not understanding the direction you're going with your organization, hiring Jeff Saturday. And to piggyback off what you said when it comes to not just the interim head coach position, Jim Irsay says in the press conference he hopes for Jeff Saturday to be there not just for 8 games, but for more. Meaning that if he does well, then they're going to sign him to a multi-year contract to be the head coach. Again, no disrespect to Jeff Saturday at all. And I'm pretty sure, and he stated in his press conference as well, too, that I'm pretty sure people are questioning, hey, why, how did I get the job? Why did I get the job? This, down the third. Jim Irsay says because of his leadership. Okay, that's fine. Why not go get Peyton Manning for that, right? You feel me? At least get somebody that can actually call plays, right? You feel me? That's what Peyton Manning is doing in the Manning cast. He's out here calling his own plays on his wristband, and that would be a more of respectable hire than Jeff Saturday. Again, no shade to Jeff Saturday. I know it sounds like I'm getting on him, but I'm really not. It's just I wouldn't pass up the opportunity either. If somebody said, "Hey, X, come out and coach the Houston Texans for 8 games, we'll give you a quick $2 million, and then we'll fire you at the end of the season," hell yeah, I'm gonna go do it. You feel me? I'm not about to say no to that.
100%, 100%.
But to go ahead and just wrap this up, it's just at the end of the day, it's just not a good look. And it's not even a black thing, right? At this point, it's not even where the black coaches at and where it is. Nah, bro, this is just disrespectful to coaches that have been coaching in the league for our high school or pro or college for 15, 20 years and can't even get a head coaching job. To be able to walk in and just get a head coaching job just because of course, the owner used to play for it. Now, again, I understand everybody's relationship is different with their owner and their boss and everything like that, and you're able to rise above the ranks quicker because of certain folks. I mean, but besides certain folks, because of your relationship with the owner. And if I worked at a small business or a big business and I'm cool with the owner and he's able to promote me because they like me, I wouldn't feel no type of way either. You feel me, Ish? So it's really hard to really talk about this subject and this topic because we all know, everybody looking at it know that it's wrong, right? Everybody knows this whole situation is wrong. But we all know that if we was in the same situation as Jeff Saturday, I ain't about to say no to the opportunity. I ain't about to say, nah, I'm good. Again, if Jeff Saturday said he up to the task, he easily could have stayed in the booth. He easily could have stayed at Get Up, throwing pancakes with Greeny and them on Tuesday mornings. He easily could have stayed there, but he said he's gonna take the opportunity on heads on and try to make the best out of it. So it's gonna be interesting to see the rest of the season. I don't expect anything. He'd be lucky to get 500. And I don't know what are they gonna do, Matt Ryan. Is he gonna start again? Is they gonna stay with Ellinger? Like that. This whole situation is just. Let's get to the comment from Lee. Like I said, it's just not a good look. Anyways, Lee says, was this just a, hey, come plug in for the rest of the year, then go back to your broadcasting so they won't give someone who's on the staff now a chance to walk into a bad situation and look bad with their first gig and make a legitimate signing in the offseason? You want to answer that one, Ish?
I mean, He's saying he wants him there for longer than 8 games. So this is I'm assuming an audition for the full time gig. He gonna if likes what he sees through the next 8 games, this guy could be the full time coach. So yeah.
My piggyback to Lee is any of those coaches on that Colts staff right now, what makes them any different than anybody else that has had to move into a bad situation, just like Steve Wilks, who I've talked about the last couple of weeks with the Panthers, or any of these other coaches that have had to walk into a bad situation? What makes Reggie Wayne, let's not give Reggie Wayne the head coaching job so he can go 1-7 and then not get looked at, in the future. Hello, if Jim Irsay really wanted to make them the head coach, he would make him the head coach. You feel me? It doesn't matter how he finished the rest of this interim head coaching season. So I get what you're saying, Lee, but I don't see the logic in that. Dominique Powell says, I can only imagine how the coaches feel that are already a part of the coaching staff for the Colts. It's like like you said earlier. Yeah, I mean, like guys like Reggie Wayne, I mean, it just makes you want to just scratch your head, of course. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on. Like I said, I feel like we talked enough about that. So, I guess we'll talk about it on Sunday Sunday morning when they play their first game with Jeff Saturday as the head coach, and then we'll talk about it on Week 10 recap on here on X Talking Ish. We'll see how good or bad it's going to be. But
he already said Sam Ehlinger is starting, so
okay. Well, it's going to be some. So
it's going to be something.
It's going to be some. All right. Speaking of some, we're going to go ahead and give out our little some award, a little mid-season award. Since, of course, if y'all tune in to X Talking Ish, you guys know that we recap, of course, the games after the week, obviously, that they've played. Since it is week 9 and it is midway point of the regular season, we are going to go ahead and give out just our mid-season right now awards. It doesn't mean that this is going to be, of course, at the end of the season, the same awards that will be given out at the NFL honors and all that good stuff. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into the mid-season awards. And then, of course, we'll wrap up, of course, some of the games of the NFL slate. And then also, if I was a betting man, and we'll get y'all up out of here for tonight. Lee says, one last thing. If Jeff Saturday beats McDaniels, does he get the boot?
McDaniels should probably get the boot already. Like, we're just being honest. McDaniels should probably already have that boot.
Oh, I'm happy Lee brought up McDaniels because best believe I'm going to be talking about the Raiders real soon. All right. First, MVP. Looks like Ish and X has the same MVP at the moment. Ish.
Yeah, it's Jalen Hurts for me. I mean, what he's been able to do with this team, what he's been able to do with this offense, and where they currently sit, he's got to be the guy. We all know that this award is a quarterback award, and being the quarterback for the best team in the league, yeah, he's got to be the MVP. I know some people may say something about Josh Allen, but I think that until we see Jalen Hurts stumble or Josh Allen beat Jalen Hurts, I think Jalen Hurts is the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly a little surprised to see that Josh Allen is still ahead of some of these guys when it comes to MVP, when 2 of your losses are within the division. And when you sometimes play a little too reckless for me right now to be considered the front runner of the MVP. Jalen Hurts has done nothing but get better week in and week out. I mean, has seemed to have gotten it when it comes to being an NFL quarterback. It's great to see him mature. And right now, because he's undefeated, playing on the best team, that's why he has to be my MVP. Right. Second would be Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to throw that out there right now because I already know Lee going to bring it up. But yes, second would be Patrick Mahomes, especially what he did against the Titans on Sunday night. We're going to talk about that a little bit later because, the referees helped out a little bit. But anywho, Patrick Mahomes is right there. And there's a couple other guys, again, of course, Lamar Jackson's, the Kirk Cousins, and again, a couple other guys. But right now, Jalen Hurts is Shania's MVP at the midseason point right now. Lee says Hurts, Mahomes both passed Allen. Allen lost a few games, been horrible. Vegas officially put Allen at third today. Thank you for that update, Lee. I appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and move on to offensive player of the midseason ish. Josh Allen x Tyreek Hill. Since Ish went first, I'll go. I mean, Ish went first last time. I'll go first this time. I picked Tyreek Hill. Honestly, mainly because I feel like this might be his breakout season. And let's be real. As we talked about this in the last couple of weeks, when it comes to what Tyreek Hill, the type of pressure he's put on, not just himself, but Tua, and also the Dolphins as a offense to be the way that you described it on your own podcast, right? You know, hey, Tua has this great arm. He has better accuracy than Patrick Mahomes. He's this, he's that. You know, but of course, social media will bring up the videos of Tua, you know, underthrowing Tyreek or doing this or doing that. That looks like, oh, they're not on the same page. Well, so far through the first half of the season, it looks like they are on the same page. And every time Tyreek touches the ball, it seems as though he's able to get 100 yards every single game. And when it comes to just the offensive player of the year right now, it's just Josh Allen, it's Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson. I mean, it's guys up there, but Tyreek Hill has been a very special specimen so far through 9 weeks of the NFL season, and I'm hoping that he can continue this and be able to help the Dolphins make a run at the playoffs ish.
Yeah, I purposely went for a controversial pick here. I know I just talked down on Josh Allen not being the MVP, and then I followed up with Josh Allen being the offensive player of the year. But I think here that this league, they're way too biased in certain analysis. In certain ways, they look at certain players and they'll give them passes on things, and they'll say, well, you know, he can only do so much. I think this is one of those cases where they're going to find a way to give Josh Allen this award. For me, this isn't my guy. I agree Tyreek Hill is my offense player of the year for the first half. But I think, and this is why I picked him, I think the league want to give Josh Allen the award so bad. They just really want to. I mean, even the way they cover Josh Allen, like Lee was saying, he hasn't really played that great to me. But when you see the coverage and you hear the coverage of Josh Allen, you would think his team undefeated right now.
Now, at the end of the day, you got to finish the season off to obviously obtain this award of the MVP. Right now, of course, reports are saying that he's having a UCL injury within his elbow. That's the first time I've ever heard that that type of injury, a UCL. I've never heard. I've heard of all the ligaments for the most part within the knees, but for a UCL within the elbow, that's going to be very daunting on the Bills moving forward. Josh Allen, let's be real, they're not who they should be as a whole, not just with the offense, but the team itself. So we'll check back, of course, once the season is over with, when it comes to if some of these turn into fruition, because depending on this injury report for Josh Allen, he might have to miss a couple of weeks, and this, of course, could drop him out of any type of awards like this. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to Defensive Player of the Year, and I'll give y'all a heads up on these next couple of categories. They're going to be pretty boring, but I'm just giving y'all a heads up because most of these picks, the next couple of categories, we're kind of the same ones. So I'm just giving you a heads up on that one. Defensive Player of the Year ish, Micah Parsons, Micah Parsons ish.
I mean, it's obvious who it's going to be. Who has the most impact on their team? I mean, I kind of feel like he's the clear and obvious leader of that Dallas defense. He is what makes the Dallas defense goes. I think without him, they're not as good as they are, and he's the defensive MVP for me, the defensive player of the year for me.
Yeah, I mean, usually this was an Aaron Donald award, right? You know, this was kind of already penciled in Aaron Donald before the season even starts. Micah, of course, made his mark in the NFL last year, and probably could have won the award last year too, as well as a rookie. And Seems as though there's no sophomore slump for this guy. So if he continues to keep doing what he's doing, he's probably going to walk away with this award for relatively pretty easy. So it's nice to see, a young guy come in and make an impact like this. Not going to compare him to Lawrence Taylor. I'm not doing that. We're just going to go ahead and watch him mature and be as great of an athlete and a football player as he can be. And then we'll let the record books do their job later on. But right now, let's just appreciate Michael Parsons. This is a rare specimen, and he's out here balling on the NFL field. All right, offensive rookie of the midseason, Dameon Pierce for X, Dameon Pierce for Ishmael. And I'm going to go ahead and let Ish take this one because this is Ish's guy. He talks about him very highly. He's been talking about him in the offseason. He's been watching this guy in the offseason. He stated that Dameon Pierce needs to be the starting running back. He's become the starting running back for the Texans, and he is not looking back anytime soon.
No, I called it early in the season. I'm pretty sure I picked him to be offensive rookie of the year before the season even started. Just seeing him in training camp, seeing him in the preseason, the writing was on the wall. The way they utilize him, I think it just lends to him being an offensive rookie of the year. He's going to get the numbers. And I think, when it comes to awards like these, the kind of player that has the numbers, but on top of the numbers, he is what is carrying this offense at the moment. How he goes is how this team performs. Because Davis Mills, let's just be honest, he can't do anything if Dameon Pierce isn't able to run the ball. If you have watched any Texan games, when Dameon Pierce is slowed down, the Texans offense is non-existent. I mean, even when he runs well, the Texans offense is kind of non-existent. But I just think for me right now, and I see Lee, you talking about Kenneth Walker. I don't know if Kenneth Walker going to keep the pace with him. I just don't know because they're leaning so heavy on Dameon Pierce. To me, I just think that he's, at the end of the day, they're going to look at it from two standpoints. He's going to have numbers, and he is carrying this offense on his back. Kenneth Walker is performing well. Will Kenneth have the numbers to compete with him? And a lot of people are going to look at that and say, well, Geno's doing well. They've got a number of players over there doing well. So that's why Pierce gets it for me.
I mean, even though we're both agreeing with Rookie of the Year, I mean, I have to agree a little bit on Lee as well when it comes to the only difference with this award. It's not like the MVP when it comes to having a better record matters and putting your team in a certain position matters MVP wise. This award, sometimes a good player is going to be on a bad team because you're a rookie, right?
Yep.
And with Kenneth Walker, that could be a pro and a con because, like you said, Geno is doing, of course, the heavy lifting and everybody else is contributing. But yes, Kenneth Walker is balling, and he's probably going to have a better record than the Texans. The Seahawks, they're obviously going to have a better record than the Texans, and they also could win their division. The Seahawks also could win their division and maybe go in the playoffs. So depending on how the voters look at it, they can maybe see that as, Kenneth Walker helped the Seahawks get to the playoffs, so we're going to give him that award. Even though Dameon Pierce had a hell of a season, the Texans 3-14-1. I'm sorry, 3-13-1. My bad. Yes, I mean, it just all depends on how the voters want to vote on that award. Lee also says they are both monsters. I do agree. So we'll see what happens with that award. Moving forward, defensive rookie of the midseason, and as always, the boss who has his own sauce at Buffalo Wild Wings. If you don't know, go ahead and check out the Sauce Boss, Mr. Sauce Gardner. He's living up to his name. I mean, I was skeptical. I don't know if everybody else was. I mean, I was skeptical. I respect the name. I respect the chain. I respect everything he did in college, but that's Cincinnati, and that was college. Okay, you got to do it on the big stage. And he's been doing it. He's been doing it on the big stage, and in a city that nothing but lights and nothing but marketing, and like New York and the New York Jets as a whole, they've been able to, so far after 9 games, been able to actually show up. And Sauce Gardner is definitely a big piece of that, Ish.
Houston Texans have
He's
done
over
it
here
again.
thinking,
The Houston Texans have done it again because you decide you want to select the corner. First round, you went ahead, you want to select the corner. Man, shut that Derek Stingley nonsense up.
Everybody loved Derek Stingley.
Even when they made the pick, I was sitting here like, it's got to be Sauce. Why? It's got to be Sauce. And now I'm looking at him and I'm even more confused. Like, what the hell was, like, what are y'all doing? What were y'all doing? Like, what do they do in this draft room? Because I'm looking at this and I've been thinking this for a long time. What were y'all doing that y'all picked Derek Stingley over Sauce? Because Sauce has been everything that he was advertised to be.
Yeah.
So this, I don't know what the Texans were doing, but I hope he continues to play as well as he is playing so that we can continue to look at this organization and say, you know what? Somebody else need to be here, okay? We need to do something about. Matter of fact, what my boy name? McNair, Cal, go take the team somewhere else. Leave. We want a new team. We want to start over
for a third
again.
time. Damn.
We want to start over again. Get gone. We don't even want you anymore. Leave. Take them with you. Take them. That way we get to watch somebody else because we don't want to watch this train wreck anymore in Houston.
All right, to you then. Tell them how you really feel. Ish Lee says Sauce might be the best corner in the NFL. What he's doing is stupid. He said this year, obviously, he needs time to show it over a long span. Of course, my saying as always, I need 3 years, 3 consecutive years for you to say that you've arrived. That's what I need. I need 2.5 to 3 years before we can say, okay, this is a player that's consistently going to be good. Not no spurts here or there. Not no one season with no one-hit wonder. Christian McCaffrey's and Jonathan Taylor's. Yeah, I'm calling you out. I need folks out here that's going to do on a consistent basis right now. Sauce is doing it so far as a rookie. We'll see what happens moving forward, and we'll go from there. All right, comeback player of the year. And as you can see, once again, we are in agreement. I mean, it's just pretty obvious right now that Geno Smith deserves some type of award. And this is the first of maybe many for Geno Smith this upcoming season. Maybe he could win comeback player of the year, maybe MVP, maybe an NFC championship conference game. I'm sorry, NFC conference championship game award, and also maybe even a Super Bowl. Again, I'm not going that far, but the sky's the limit for the Seattle Seahawks right now. As long as they're able to stick to the game plan, you have a lot of guys who are on that team who are just going out and go play. And we'll talk about them a little bit later on once we get done with this list. But the guy that's out here leading the pack, Mr. Geno Smith, he deserves his flowers, and I'm going to make sure he gets them, making sure that he wins his comeback player of the midseason.
He beat Danny Dimes, so I'm going to give him the award. That's all I'm going to say.
That's it. Not going to add on.
He beat Danny Dimes, so I'm going to give him the award.
So we're not going to respect Geno?
I mean, he's doing well.
Okay. Y'all hear that, everybody? Ishmael's a little bit of a hater. He didn't expect Geno to come and take the spot from his boy Danny or even Saquon, because we know we had Saquon at the beginning of the year. It's all right, though. I look silly. I had Christian McCaffrey in the beginning of the year, so It is what it is. All right, coach of the midseason. I had Seattle going back again. I have Pete Carroll, and Ish has Robert Saleh. Ish, I'll let you go.
Yeah, it's got to be Robert Saleh from the Jets, 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 especially after this week where they just beat the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they have been doing it all season long. They currently sit in second, right behind the Buffalo Bills. I mean, who expected this young offense to perform the way that they have been performing? This defense, they've been building it for a little bit. You can see the pieces coming together. This is a scary team. We did not think they were going to be as good this early. So I definitely think that you got to give this to Robert Saleh. Pete Carroll is a good shout, though. I mean, they have the same record right now, 6-3, both the Jets and the Seahawks. So either way, I'm cool. I respect that.
I mean, I had to go with Pete mainly because nobody believed in the Seattle Seahawks this year after, of course, Russell Wilson moving on. And it wasn't really the trade for Russell Wilson. I think it was, okay, the pieces, not just you got for them, Drew Lock, Noah Fant, the draft picks. I'm talking about the pieces you have left in Seattle. Again, a lot of people threw away Geno Smith. A lot of people didn't take their defense seriously. A lot of people looked at this team and just said, okay, just a bunch of guys just thrown together and enjoy this, Pete Carroll. This might be your last year or two in the NFL. You might have to retire or go back to college because, maybe your voice is too stale in the locker room. Maybe people are tired of hearing you. That's why maybe the guys from Seattle left, the Bobby Wagners, right? All these guys that were staple members, maybe they left because they probably got tired of hearing what you had to say. But right now, he's able to steer the ship. He looks like he's having fun. He's rejuvenated. Could we seriously see him in an NFC Conference Championship game this season? Could we really see him maybe taking on the Eagles for the Conference Championship game? It's possible. Again, you have an opportunity to win the division and host a playoff game. We know what happens when those 12s get there. That's a hell of a home field advantage. So right now, I like Pete Carroll. Things will change moving forward, but that's who I have. I do like what Lee is saying. He says no Sirianni. If they go 16-1 or better, he's got to get it, right? Yes. By default, yes. But this award is weird. The coach of the year is weird to where they don't always give it to the.
It's normally the overachieving
coach.
team. Yeah, exactly. They don't normally give it to the best team.
They gave it to Mike Vrabel last season for the Tennessee Titans. They lost in the first round of playoffs, or technically the second round of playoffs, but they were number one seed in the AFC last season. So that was a team that overachieved because they weren't supposed to be number one seed. If the Eagles if the Eagles are number one seed in the NFC and, go to the playoffs and do whatever they do there, they might not give Nick Sirianni the award only because a lot of people might have expected the Eagles, like Ishmael Sirianni, to make it to the Super Bowl. So that's the only thing that would hold that back.
I also want to say it's going to depend on where some of these other teams finish that we're talking about right now, including the New York Giants and Brian Daboll, because if some of these teams finish, you got to look at the Giants. If the Giants finish up there in the NFC East, which means they would have to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, well, that's a hit to Sirianni. If the Jets win the AFC East, that's a whole nother situation you got to talk about from Robert Saleh. And if Seattle actually goes on to win the NFC West over the defending champions of the Rams, I think that people are going to look at that and they're going to say, yeah, the Eagles were great, but a lot of people maybe thought that they were going to perform well this year, especially in that division. Some of these other teams might be more impressive. It might be a more impressive coaching job. Like X pointed out with Pete Carroll, and nobody expected them to be where they are. Everybody thought it was a rebuilding year for them. I think depending on if they win that division or not, I think it doesn't matter if the Eagles go 16-1. I think that's it. Pete Carroll wins that.
Yeah, again, that award is weird. It's not the best coach. If that was the case, Bill Belichick would have won 12 out of the last 20 years or whatever. He would have swept that award every year. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to a couple more, and then we'll get to the games. 3 most surprising teams so far. For Ish, he has the Giants, the Seahawks, and the Jets. And for Xavier, I have the Vikings, the Eagles, and the Jets. Ish, you want to start off? I love the face you're making because I know you're probably looking at my list like, all right, but
yeah, that list is ridiculous. But anyway, clearly the Giants, no one expected the Giants, I think, to be in the conversation for the NFC East, sitting at 6-2 at this point. So that's a clear situation, especially doing what they've been doing. Danny Dimes has played well with the exception of that Seattle game. The Jets, like we talked about before, I think this week really cemented everybody who's starting to kind of turn the neck a little bit at the Jets, because I think people thought, oh yeah, it sounds cute, but good luck with Buffalo. And then they went out this past week and they beat the Buffalo Bills, who everybody has been talking about as one of the top 2 teams in the AFC, if not the league. And then to close it out, obviously the Seattle Seahawks, nobody gave them a chance with Geno Smith or Drew Lock as the starting quarterback. And for them to do what they have done, come together and perform and lead the NFC West at this point, I think by far those 3 teams are the most surprising.
I'm not mad at what you're saying. You're not wrong at all. And I'll explain why I have my 3 teams on here as well, too.
Bam, bam, bam.
So the reason why I have the Vikings is because not just the way that they're playing, not just because they're 7-1. I mean, they are looking like legit threats to be able to make a Super Bowl run. And at the midway point, I don't think a lot of people expected that. A lot of people continue to discredit Kirk Cousins, and I understand why. He has not showed up during primetime games. He had not showed up in the playoffs. I understand that. Maybe Justin Verlander, we just saw just a couple nights ago, be able to finally redeem himself after a World Series. Maybe this is finally the year for Kirk Cousins. Maybe he can finally get himself and also the Vikings over the hump and make a run to the Super Bowl. That's one reason why I have them in the Eagles. Nobody expected them to be undefeated midway of the at the midway point of the NFL season. You can say, oh, they had an easy schedule. Oh, the teams they play are trash. Blah 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 blah. I understand that, but the Bucs have lost to the Panthers. I mean, we just saw just this past week. We saw the Jets beat the Bills, and I understand the Jets are not our father's Jets anymore. But there have been plenty of upsets in the NFL to where the Eagles could have easily been upset, even just in week 1 when they almost lost to the Lions, right? So for the Eagles to be undefeated still at the midway point, first time in franchise history for the Eagles, who have been around since 1933. You got to say that's pretty surprising. That's one reason why I put them on there. And for the Jets, just like you talked about, nobody expect the Jets to be 6-3 at this point, second in the AFC East, and have a legit opportunity to maybe even win the division, which nobody thought was possible coming into the season, right? I mean, that's just my 3. All right, and 3 most disappointing teams so far. X has the Raiders, the Colts, and the Rams, and Ish has the Packers, the Broncos, and the Rams. Who you want to start this one off, Ish? Sure,
I can start it off. Obviously, the Packers are going to be on this list because Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are completely atrocious. I don't care what anyone says about Devontae Adams and losing him and what they thought was going to be a slight hit. No one had them 3-6 at this point. Let's just be honest. People may have thought that there was going to be a hit, but not 3-6. So anyone that says that they foresaw 3-6, you're a liar. You need to go and have your talk with Jesus and repent for that one. On top of that, just looking at the other 2 teams, the Broncos, everybody talking about Russell Wilson, all-time great quarterback. Yeah, you didn't see Russell Wilson behave in the way that he has behaved so far and leading the Denver Broncos to a 3-5 record. And then the Rams, defending champions, sitting at 3-5 as well. They don't throw the ball to Allen Robinson, period. Who knows what's going on with Cam Akers and whether Cam Akers is going to do anything the rest of the season. It's just a bad soap opera in LA, which is fitting for an LA team. And I'm just, sitting here with my popcorn waiting to see what happens with the rest of the season.
I love how you added that a drama story for the LA team. How fitting! I like that part. That was nice. Those 3 teams obviously are the obvious choices, but I didn't want to leave out the Raiders and the Colts. Obviously, because of the way that the Colts season is going so far, and the Raiders, I mean, ill, right? I mean, you have to add the Raiders in there. Another team as well to look at as well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. even though they are first in their division, still not where Tom Brady expected them to be. And Tampa Bay just do, even if they were to win a division and host a playoff game, I don't think anybody's afraid of them at the moment, my opinion. But for the most part, I don't know what direction the Colts are trying to go in. Every season, they try to get this veteran quarterback to try to lead them to the playoffs, I guess. And that formula has not worked over the last 4 or 5 years now ongoing. The Raiders, they've now just released another first-round draft pick. And it's, of course, a guy that John Gruden drafted to where – it seems as though maybe they're trying to, of course, get away from the John Gruden era. But what are they doing over there in Vegas, right? Like, it doesn't look – it just – you're continuing to give up these large leads, find ways to lose games you're not supposed to. And I just don't understand what the Raiders are trying to do over there, right? So I had to make sure that they got their shine for being wrong and doing the wrong things over there. So, yeah, we'll see what happens at the end of the season. Let's go ahead and get to the Sunday night football game. I want to talk a little bit about this one. No hate at all. I just want to obviously prove a point that, like I said on Sunday night, the line was disrespectful from Vegas. Whoever put this little 12.5-point line was very disappointing. Just as disappointing as the referee's play call or referee the whistle that they didn't want to apparently use for certain plays, like, Travis Kelce just, casually tossing his helmet in frustration on the field, or even, of course, grabbing the opposing player's helmet while trying to run a route. But, nothing happens to Kelce because, he's the poster boy for the Chiefs. So with that being said, not going to complain about that. Titans didn't take care of business. Should have taken care of business. Did not, and they allowed the Chiefs to win this game. And who knows? Maybe we can see this rematch once again in the postseason when it really matters. Like I stated on Sunday, doesn't matter who wins this game. I respect the Chiefs; they got this game, but when they play again in the divisional round or even the AFC Conference Championship game, most likely in Arrowhead, we'll see who wins that game then. Ish.
Wham. All I hear is the crying from the Oilers fan over here. The Chiefs won the game. It was a great final drive from Patrick Mahomes. They did what they needed to do. I'm excited about them being able to claw out a victory at the end because I think that's one of the things that they need to establish. It's always good to have a game like that and be able to fight through those situations of adversity in a close, hard-fought game during the regular season because come playoff time, like you're talking about, these are the kind of games you have, and these are the kind of things you have to do to make it all the way to the Super Bowl and potentially win the Super Bowl. So to see that, that was encouraging. Outside of that, I didn't really take much from this game. I thought it was a game where even if they lost, I would be okay with it. But we are starting to see some improvements from that secondary. That young secondary starting to step up, do a couple of things the right way, and they're making progress. And that's exactly what you want to see if you're a Chiefs fan. So I'm excited about that. Hopefully, Titans get Ryan Tannehill back because I'm not impressed by Malik Willis so far. I think he could potentially be good, with some time. But right now, yeah.
So can I ask you this question because I've had the old heads, what I like to call, will say to give Malik Willis a little time. Obviously the wide receiving core is trash, right? Apparently the offensive line isn't that good. Mm-hmm. That's some of the things that people will say that's in support of Willis. That don't like the Titans. They just want to support Willis, right? They will say, let's give him some pieces and see what he can do with that. What do you say about that, Ish?
I think, he needs some time. I think also, I guess you can make some excuses about, what the what's going on with the pieces around him and everything. But at the end of the day, this Titans team has never been a team that's about having superstars. They've been a team that they run the ball hard and they grind on defense. And the team makeup right now is a team that I still think can make it in the playoffs and compete. So for you to be doing what you're doing with the team that they have, also the team that Ryan Tannehill plays with, yeah, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Like, clearly you're not ready. So time is the only thing I can give you. I can only give you time. Outside of that, I don't see any other excuses that you named being valid.
I'll wrap it up very quickly. We're going to go ahead and move on. It's probably might have been the one and only time that I wish Ryan Tannehill was our quarterback.
No.
I honestly was very skeptical of Malik Willis before the draft. I didn't care if who drafted him. It no matter if it was the Titans, the Steelers, the Houston Texans. I was just very skeptical of his skill set. Right. Now that he's in the league, this is now his second start. This isn't his first start. It's not like this is his first start. He's playing on the road, playing against a very tough defense. He played last week against the Houston Texans. Yes, it was on the road, but that's the defense you're supposed to start to get warmed up for this Kansas City defense, right? And even in his first start, I understand his first start, got the jitters. Parents was there. I got all that. He just never looked comfortable in the pocket. That was my concerns with Malik Willis. We fast forward to Sunday night, and it's just more of the same. And it's not even about, oh, well, the line sucks and wide receiver. It just didn't even look like he wanted to throw the football. It looked like he just took his drop, and when his first read was gone, his second read was gone, bam, I'm trying to run, but now I'm trying to scramble, and I can't find where to scramble, so I'm just going to run around like I'm Patrick Mahomes and not even try to throw the football around. Like, it was so frustrating to watch. It's not that I don't think he's ready right now. I just don't think that he will be a starting quarterback in the league if he continues this type of development. If he does not go out to California this offseason, the next 2 or 3 off seasons, and learn how to be a pocket passer, he will not be in the NFL in 4 years. I'm going to leave it at that. Let's go ahead and move on because I'm about tired of talking about Malik Willis. I'm going to be honest with you. Very briefly on this game, because this game was a game that I'm pretty sure the Rams thought they had until Tom Brady, of course, does what he does best, and that's lead the team down the field for last second drive and let's score a touchdown to win the game, right? That's what Tom Brady does. That's what he was able to do. And I don't know about you, but I've never seen Tom Brady get so the word's not emotional. The word is relief. Have so much relief on his face and on his body after winning a regular mid-season regular season game and making it feel like it was a playoff game. Like, am I the only one that saw that? Like, I understand he's dealing with a lot in the off the field stuff, of course, obviously with his divorce, but maybe he knows too, like, this is my last ride, and like we need every win to get to the playoffs and get these guys ready. This was a really, really tough one, or was he just, I don't know, just relieved that the game was over, ready to go use the restroom? I don't know. I need answers. Ish, help me with the answers.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Other than I think maybe the pressure starting to get him, or the thoughts of how, of people outside, how they're looking at him, because you lose your marriage and everything over coming back to play for this team only for y'all not to make the playoffs. Like, how crazy you gonna look then? So I think he's gotta be feeling it. Like, something's gotta happen. They gotta make something happen. And I think that he's pushing. You can see this year more than any, he's been yelling at the offensive line more. He looks frustrated. He looks frustrated on the sideline week in and week out. So yeah, it's a little relieving to get a win. But hey, one thing that can cheer you up, Tom, you're not as bad as Aaron Rodgers right now.
Ooh. We'll talk about that shortly. And of course, Seahawks and the Cardinals, the bird gang against each other. Seahawks, of course, took this one by 10. I had the Cardinals in this game. I knew Seahawks. I know what the Seahawks are about. And at this point in time, I think it's time for me to stop thinking that they are not real. Same thing with the Giants. I've felt as though that the Giants weren't real. Seahawks proved me right when it comes to them facing off head to head. Look, but the Giants still have enough time to still steer that ship and maybe even win the division. Same thing with the Seahawks. But the Cardinals, I think it's just a little too late for them. I don't see them getting better in the second half of the season. I thought this was the game for them to steal. Even though they were a 1.5-point favorite, which again I'm still baffled on that because I feel like the Seahawks should have been favored in this game, being the road favorite. But the Seahawks, I feel as though did what they have been doing this whole season, which is come in your trap, take over your trap.
Yep, I already tried to tell you that. I told you Cliff doesn't play well in the second half of the season, no matter D-Hop there or not. Cliff is not good at coaching in the second half of the season. And Cliff, go ahead and start. You can put the house for sale up in there in Arizona, and maybe you got a place in Lubbock or something. What's his name? My boy Jimbo. He's not doing too well over there in College Station. You might just take a detour over there at some point. Maybe see if they want you there.
There you go. No, that's not going to happen. It could though, but not doubt it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to very briefly Captain Kirk and the Vikings against the Lonely Commanders. Which this game was the Vikings only won by 3. The game was very close throughout the whole game, but it looked like the Commanders were going to win this game at one point in time. The Commanders were pretty much in control until the Vikings went ahead and took the lead towards the end of the fourth and was able to squeak out of DC with a win. I know you don't care for the Vikings. I know that. But now with a 4.5 game lead in the NFC North, could the Super Bowl really run through? Or sorry, the NFC. I'm sorry. Could the NFC maybe run through Minneapolis? Because again, I still have the Eagles losing at least 1 or 2 games. I don't think that they'll go undefeated. And depending on how things turn out for the Vikings, maybe they lose only 2 games. So could the end of the season? Could we have things everything running through Minnesota?
I mean, it's obviously a possibility, especially when you still got teams like, you still got games against the Lions, the Packers, the Bears. Oh my. But I don't know. I still think one of the NFC East teams probably more likely to host, because you got to think about it from this standpoint. The Vikings still have to play the Buffalo Bills next week or this week. They got the Dallas Cowboys after that. They got the Patriots, the Jets. They're playing the Giants. So they are playing teams that they're directly going up against for the top of that conference. Something's got to shake. So yeah, if it ends up going through Minnesota, they're going to earn it, right? Like they will earn it if it goes through Minnesota. But at the same time, I don't see them, beating all of these teams. I think they may win some, they're going to lose some. And at the end of the day, when we look at it, it's going to be probably one of the NFC East teams that's going to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Definitely could be. You're not wrong on that one at all. Let's get to the Bills and the Jets. Bills, of course, were 11-point favorite. I thought the crazy stat line for this game was the Bills were 11-point favorite coming into the game, and the Jets erased an 11-point deficit to end up beating the Bills in this game. So again, another ha to you, Vegas, out there for thinking y'all know better in this NFL. And I'll just say it now. I mean, if the Jets weren't on your radar now, they should be. So we'll see what happens second half of the season. We'll see if they can continue this, because we all know they're still a young team. So we have to see if this can translate in the second half of the seaon when injuries start piling up, and then also you just being a little sore. You also play obviously in New York in the cold. That whole division up there is going to be a little bit different in about 2 more months when it comes to weather. So we'll see what happens with the Jets moving forward.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just feel like I should have picked my Jets. I should have just went with
You did go with the
um
Bills.
I should have went with, the high hand, but I chose to respect the Bills, and obviously that backfired. We'll have to see how long Josh Allen may potentially be out, because that'll be interesting to
Yeah,
see.
that changed
Um,
everything.
that'll definitely help the Jets out 100%. So we'll see if the young cockiness of the Jets is gonna propel them to the playoffs, maybe even a divisional championship.
Maybe even a divisional championship. Let's get to the Dolphins and the Bears. This was a very interesting one. I don't think a lot of people thought that the Bears could be able to put up points with the Dolphins, but they definitely did. And the Dolphins got out of there and in a shootout. Um, if you're not impressed by Justin Fields by now, you might need to be. I know Ish has gotten on Justin Fields this past season for shitty throws and just shitty play, but he has been able to rally the troops and been able to. I don't know if it's the offensive coordinator, I don't know if it's the head coach actually finally coming up with solid game plans for Justin Fields, but they're utilizing his strengths, right? They're allowing him to be more mobile, and I mean he looks a lot better than he did in the beginning of the season. Is that going to continue not just for this season but moving forward for the Bears? We just don't know, because their quarterback played not just for the last 5 or 10 years, but for their whole franchise of existing have just not been good. So if you want to make this guy your franchise guy, you have to get people in there, coaching staff wise, and also, of course, personnel to help him become even better. But I think Justin Fields can be what Tua is for the Dolphins. I look that highly at Justin Fields, and I'm very impressed. I don't say that often about Ohio State quarterbacks at all, but I am very impressed with Justin Fields so far.
Yeah, they've made some changes. They're going to more of the things that made him successful at Ohio State. Chase Claypool looked, man, all right, but this offense is moving the ball a little bit more. They're performing a little bit better with Justin Fields and the new play calling. I'm excited to see how they continue to progress, and whether they do continue to progress and continue to call plays like this, because I think that'll be very exciting to watch, and it'll actually make the Bears interesting for once. And for the Dolphins, the Dolphins are doing what they need to do to win these games. They found a way to win the game. It was a hard-fought game. I think similar to the Chiefs, this is the kind of game you need to go through in the regular season and win to prepare you for the playoffs. So, yeah, overall, it was really good. I'm excited to see where the Bears go from here. Hopefully, please let it continue to be something similar to this. Don't revert back to what y'all were doing earlier in the season, because the non-throwing the ball and having Justin Fields just stand back there, it was terrible.
Yes, I definitely agree. Let's go ahead and wrap it up with our last one. We're staying in the NFC North with the Packers and the Lions, and I think this game sums up the Packer season. I think this game here, 9 points against the Lions. Now, no disrespect to the Lions. I think the Lions defense statistically obviously shows them as being the worst defense in the NFL, which is understandable. But his Lions defense is pretty good. I think their defense is good, but just in NFL standard, it's not that good. I know it sounds like I know. I'm going back and forth. But when the Lions want to play, they obviously can play. And the Packers are a bad team, but the Packers are a bad team, but the Packers should beat the Lions, right? That's what should happen. It should have probably have happened on Sunday, but the Lions took care of business at home. And this might be the beginning of the end with Aaron Rodgers in a Packers uniform ish.
Yeah, it probably is. I mean, he's probably overstayed his welcome. Probably should have left a long time ago. Um, they're reaping what they sowed over the all season and all the nonsense and back and forth that they've been going through over there. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, they're not making playoffs this year. Like I said, I'm going to continue to pick against them until they show me something otherwise, because the kind of issues they got, that's not something that's just easily resolved.
Now, you talked about Aaron Rodgers overstating his welcome. How do you feel about what Lil Wayne said about Aaron Rodgers?
I don't know what Lil Wayne said.
Well,
no.
Lil Wayne pretty much tweeted out that we pretty much wouldn't be in this situation if it wasn't for 12, putting them in that position. So, again, how do you feel about what Tunchi said about A-Rod?
I don't think all the blame lies on Aaron Rodgers. I think some of the blame lies on management and how they handled the situations with Aaron Rodgers. I think there's a lack of communication for them. They could have communicated better, which ultimately that could have helped in some of the frustrations that he had with them not picking wide receivers or bringing in help when he thought that they could bring in help. All of those things. I think it's a give and take. He's definitely responsible for some of it, but I think there's also a portion of it that, the management team has to look at themselves and say, they caused some of this. They are responsible.
No, you're not wrong, Ish. You're not wrong. All right, we're going to go ahead and get up out of here tonight with If I Was a Betting Man. And as always, we do our picks through Prize Picks, promo code PR-JVA61. PN, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out.
If I were a losing man,
Sam Ehlinger, I chose under. I chose over for 195.5. He went under. I chose over for AJ Dillon going 38.5. Of course, he goes under because he can't run for more than 30.5 rushing yards. But Tyreek Hill and of course Jalen Waddle goes over as always, as I expected them, because Tyreek Hill shows up as he always do, and I was able to go over for those. So that means no parlay money for myself, and yet once again we will not collect any money from that parlay. So maybe next week we can be able to win a little some, but not this week. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Another bye week.
We'll go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. Since Ish has jokes, and we will see y'all on Sunday for Week 10 preview of the NFL season. And just like that, Ish, we are now on the back end of the NFL season. So,
man, season flying by once again.
Goes by just like that. All right, as always, we will see y'all next time on X Talking Ish at 10 o'clock Central Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Don't get hit with that surprise daylight saving time. I know it shocked y'all on Sunday, so make sure y'all adjust y'all clocks, because I know y'all haven't still, unless you got digital clocks. And we will see y'all on Sunday here at X Talking Ish. See you next time.
Peace.